Hi, I'm Russ,
And I'm Kevin.
and we're here with D6 Mafia talking about Theros. We're just going through some highlights of our favorite cards, most interesting abilities.
Just the ones that we like the most from the set.
Yeah.
Flavor, themes, mechanics, whatever we're digging.
Cards that might have potential in different gaming types, or cards with just how we like the art on it. I want to point it out. Today we're going to be talking about black. So let's get right into it. The first thing on our list is Agent of Fate.
Not much to dislike about this guy, to be honest.
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
he's aggressively costed. He's a 3/2. Like he's got he's got Death Touch for like just sort of his icing, and then he's got one of the best heroic abilities that I've seen on a creature. Really.
Hands down, it's hard to beat that.
Just if you're targeting him with stuff regularly, your opponent's just gonna have a hard time unless they're playing a token deck or something.
Fielding the
just
board.
dealing with that. So
Yeah.
very solid.
Really, really good at rare. Next is Baleful
Oh, the Baleful Eidolon.
Eidolon, yes.
Yeah. Again, like these Eidolons, generally not very strong. We talked a little bit about it in the white video.
Right.
But I don't know. This guy almost stronger than the white one now that I look at him. Again, Bestow is pretty cheap, but at least this time you get 2 Death Touch creatures at least out of the deal. You know,
Right.
You're at least probably for sure going to kill 2 of your opponent's creatures as you go through these 2 creatures,
Right.
which is a nice thing to do.
I included this on my list for one reason, is that I was, I'm kind of hate on the Bestow because I feel like 90% of the time the cost is it's just not worth it. The creature you get afterwards, a 1/1 with lifelink, a 2/2 with vigilance. Late game, how is that helping you? By the time you can actually throw down the 5 or 6 or 7 mana to enchant your creature, when that creature dies, the Bestow, spin-off creature is
not relevant at that point.
It's worthless.
Yeah.
I think this one is worthwhile. It's at common. At the very minimum, if you really need to get it down early, it's a 1/1 Death Touch for 2.
Yeah.
That's not so bad. If you want to bestow it for 5,
get a little boost.
Okay, 1/1 and Death Touch. I think that's really mana inefficient. But at the very least, when the first creature dies, you still have that Death Touch creature.
I'll agree with you. He's more playable than the other ones probably.
All right. I think the next one that we had talked about is the Cutthroat maneuver.
Oh yeah. This is the black up to 2 target creatures instant. The most expensive of those instants, I believe.
Yeah, 4.
But I mean, lifelink on 2 creatures and an additional 1/1 can be a big deal. So I don't know. I'm always surprised by how much lifelink can swing a game a lot of the time.
Just give you just enough of a nudge to live.
It's
live that
strong
extra turn.
defensive. It's strong on offense if you want the few extra points of damage and just to gain some life off of it. Again, I feel like the main purpose of these is just to trigger heroic on multiple creatures at a time.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little cheaper.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing about it. I think for 4, I'm not real happy with it.
It's definitely not my favorite of this sort of cycle here.
Right. That's what I'm kind of like. That's where it was like the white, while it is vanilla, at least you're getting 2 plus 2 plus 2.
Yeah, you basically
it's
trade the lifelink for 1 less mana cost and another 1/1 on it. But,
for 4, it's kind of tough. Unless you're really, your heroic triggers or something, you're really getting a big boost out of it.
Any one of these I would play in limited.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, this one I definitely wouldn't consider for constructed play or anything like that.
No. All right. I think, we're already on to the god in black.
Arygos, coming slightly earlier in the alphabet than the other gods.
Right. So like all the other gods, indestructible, nice big body on him, 5'7".
I actually forgot that he had that extra little bit of toughness there.
Yeah,
so.
for 4.
I mean, he's indestructible, so his toughness isn't quite as relevant, but at least he blocks those trampling creatures a little better once he turns into a creature. I think he's interesting because his global effect, I think he's the only god that, I don't know, it's really interesting to just have the not gain life clause on there.
Yeah, that's different.
I was going to say he's the only one that doesn't do things to creatures, but then I realized that there were plenty of other gods that don't do things to creatures. So, I don't know, he just feels a little different in his tone or something than a lot of the other gods, and I like him.
I mean his other ability, pay two mana,
to draw a
2
card.
life, and draw a card.
It's not bad.
That's all right.
If you need an answer in a pinch or whatever, or just, decide you want a little extra card draw, restock your hand, it's good.
Yeah, I like, I'm a big fan of the old school, necro decks.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like him as much as I like, say, Perforus or Thassa or anything, but I think he's decent. I'd rate him above Heliod at least.
Right. Yeah. He's playable. I could see.
Especially
there's a lot of life gain in black in this set.
There is, and
a lot of potential, some lifelink. We're going to get some other creatures that have some.
There is, and I mean, he doesn't really care as much about that, but yeah, I can see him at least sideboarding against a deck that has a lot of life gain.
Well, no, I'm thinking he just feels your card draw.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah. Yeah, black does have a lot of that sort of life leechy stuff.
Necro's coming back. You better watch out.
I'm watching.
And next we're going to go talk about the emissary.
Which was actually up. Yep, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so one of the better bestow creatures in the set, I think, is bestow cost is still a little steep, but...
It's 6, yeah.
Yeah, but he gives a pretty decent body to whatever you put him on, and +3/+3 is not much to sneeze at. It's a decent buff. And then, I don't know, his discard a card thing, it's got some potential there at least. I don't know. I'm still not too crazy about him, to be honest.
I mean, here was my my thought about him. There's there's that other bestow card that is fueled off of creatures in the graveyard.
He'll come a little later on this list,
right?
I think.
But maybe there's some possible synergy between these two. I can see potential for a big hit again. Oh man, the bestow stuff is rough for me, man. I'm just like, there's not a lot for me to love about it, but I can see that. I could see this maybe seeing some use because you get it on something, you can swing big. If it gets through, just if you got a handful of creatures that you think you can make that killing blow, it doesn't cost you. It's just not you don't have to tap anything. That does no mana cost. It's just here it is. Let's dump the hand.
Yeah,
dump the hand. Maybe do.
Yeah, I don't know.
6, 8, 10 more damage. Who knows?
I'm having a hard time with bestow, man. I just feel like I'm missing something, and it's better. I'm trying to feel like it should be better, or trying to get myself in a space where I can think it's better. And I'm probably just going to be wrong if I ever get to that space. Now that I keep thinking about it,
you want it to be good.
I want it to be good. I think it's a cool mechanic, and it's just I don't know if it's really been realized. Maybe in some of the later sets we'll get some more usable ones.
It's like werewolves in Innistrad. They're just not too exciting until Dark Ascension.
Well, yeah. Give me my Huntsmaster of the bestowing creatures, and I'll be happy, I guess.
Very good. Gray Merchant.
Gray Merchant. He's a common, and I'm actually kind of surprised because he feels like an uncommon.
Right, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, with the right casting cost, he could have been.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is gonna wreck some shop in limited. Like. Mm-hmm. Play him in a black deck, you're going to be talking some pretty big life swings.
I think you could do black constructed.
Play mono black devotion. Yeah, I could see that working.
I think you can make him work. I mean, that's a lot of. He's a built-in drain life.
Plus, there's all kinds of funky black has some recurrence in this set. They've got some ways to pop him out and pop him back in and stuff. You can get some mileage out of this guy.
He could be dangerous, yeah. And for 5, that's not horrible. I'm not too upset.
For what he is, I mean, he's not ultra competitive, but I still think he's quite strong.
Yep. All right.
Moving on.
I know we made a note about Hero's downfall, and where there's not a lot going on
not
here.
much to say there. It's murder, but it hits planeswalkers too. So. It's better than murder. If you have a lot of money to replace your murders with Hero's downfall, do it.
There you go.
Not much else to say about it.
Right. Yeah. Just versatile, useful.
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Hithonia the Cruel.
Thank you for pronouncing that.
I like pronouncing things for you, I guess.
Go for it.
Yep. Hithonia the Cruel. Our legendary Gorgon. What do you think of Hithonia?
Expensive, but she's got a lot going on. The monstrous on top of that is really expensive, but you can wipe the board, and she may be the only one left. I mean,
and I'll say
playing a Gorgon themed deck, which
there are not a lot of board sweepers in this set, and I think that makes her a little more significant just because
within the block.
Just she's got a board sweeper. It's a conditional board sweeper that often will leave you with at least her. So, you know, it's super expensive, but it's one of the few ones that you even have to play around with this set. So.
Right. And after you sweep the board, I mean, she's going to be, what, 7-9?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she'll be big and dangerous and be the only bad boy on the block.
I was about to say, she's some of my favorite art in the set, just because she's sitting on a throne of petrified heroes.
So at least keeping with the flavor of the Gorgons.
Absolutely. Even though they don't turn people into walls anymore, which I kind of still wish they did a little bit. But, you know, I can understand why they just kill things. That's fine. But yeah, very, very cool art on that.
Good. All right. Now, I put this on here.
Your own cool art card.
Yes. Lash of the Whip sort of sticks with the whip theme. That is, you know, the black artifact is the whip.
Yeah, Erebos likes his whip.
You know, I'm not really excited about the card itself. I would use it in limited. You know,
decent removal for limited.
You know, yeah, it's decent removal. Yeah. It's too expensive, I think, for constructed or hardly anything else.
I'm not too crazy.
But I like the art.
I dig the laser whip.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat looking.
It's sick.
Yeah, not too crazy about the card.
Let's see.
Next up, we got Mogas Marauder.
Yes.
All right. I think Mogas Marauder is awesome, and even looking at him before, I didn't realize he added haste too. So he gives intimidate and haste.
Yes, he does.
For 3, I mean that's a big old alpha strike card right there.
Yeah, so he's able to swing himself.
Yeah, he swings himself. He's cheap enough. You might even play something else before him, be able to swing with that. Yeah. Like if your opponent's not playing black, dang, you could. That's just a big old win card, especially in limited.
Yeah, I definitely see it as a limited card. I don't see it much other than that. I don't think I'm as thrilled about it, but I don't think it is bad.
No.
I think at 3 mana and uncommon, it's okay. It's probably where it should be. I mean, I can't see it being less.
I'm just saying,
I could see it being worse. I guess I could see it being 4. I think the haste, while a nice bonus, I personally would be surprised if that comes into play very often. But as an alpha strike card,
at least he comes too. And
as a late game draw, okay, I'll take it.
If I'm in black, I'm taking him pretty highly, I think. In a draft.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right next to him is the Night Howler, which is, we think it's probably one of the best bestow cards, potentially.
At least the most... it bestows for 4, which I think is the cheapest that any creature bestows for in this set.
Probably just about.
And I mean, I understand why, because it has the potential to, when you put it on anything, to not do anything.
Right.
If you don't have creatures in your graveyard, then it's just
doesn't do anything.
My creature gets +0/+0.
Right. I just spent 4 mana.
Ooh, I triggered its heroic ability.
But its bestow is only 1 more than actually casting it, which is, in my opinion, a little bit closer to what would make that ability very usable.
It's cards like that sort of still tempt me into saying that I want that bestow is decent, but then I'm still like, I just want to believe.
I want to believe that bestow will be better. But I like it. I think in the right deck, again, this is the card that would maybe play off the other.
With the discards and stuff. Yeah,
the bestow card potentially. I mean, you got to dump your hand to do it, but then you use that life gain. You pay that life.
Right.
Draw those cards. Fill your hand back up. Circular. All things in a circle. Good things.
Right. Okay.
Now the Ordeal, the black Ordeal.
Yeah. Actually, like this Ordeal quite a bit. I think, especially if you're running multiple copies of it, you can if you can get a few out, then you can clear out your opponent's hand pretty handily very early.
Yeah. If creature survives long enough for it to go off, right? Straight up card advantage.
Still like it makes your creature bigger. Again, love the flavor of the Ordeals.
All the Ordeals, pretty happy with.
Yeah, it's really, even the weakest one of them is still a perfectly playable card. So, yep. Let's see, Rolling the Bones. Yeah, read the Bones.
Read the Bones.
My mistake. The hand looks like it's rolling it, so
I
always want to say
clearly rolling bones.
I know. I guess they just read them after they roll them.
Right.
So what we're doing is reading the bones here. It's all the same. Very strong deck manipulation card draw card.
Is it rolling, reading, row, bow? No.
I don't know what you're doing right now, but anyway, we'll read the bones right now.
Yes, we'll read the bones
for now.
That's not going to work out. I think this is a great card.
I think it's wonderful. I think it'll see all kinds of play in constructed and limited.
Everything.
Like I hear a lot of constructed decks are already starting to play around with it. Actually,
I mean, you
And-
know, you look, you decide if you want some of those cards.
You could potentially
keep one, ditch one, whatever you want. Oh, these are what I want. I know what I'm getting. I know I don't want any of these two. Go away. Give me another shot.
I mean, it's like a lot of, we've seen black cards like this in the past, but it's usually just lose 2 life, draw 2 cards. The Scry 2, I mean, you can dig 4 cards into your deck with this thing if you need to. If you really want that specific answer and it's not one of the top 2 cards, dang it, you can dig even deeper.
Yeah, you're going to get closer to it. I think this follows the rest of the synergy that we've already kind of touched upon. There's life gain, life loss, card draw, discard. There's just a lot in black that seems to work really well with itself.
It's pretty cohesive,
and that just fuels the devotion. Just continue to play all in black, and then the devotion just adds.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the strongest ones that encourage. There's a little bit of a push that encourages you to play monocolor, especially with devotion and stuff.
Right.
I feel like that's strongest so far in black for sure.
Yeah, black really works with itself.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
So next is Rescue from the Underworld, which I think we would agree is one of our favorite flavor cards, and
cool,
and not a bad card itself.
Yes, the card tells a story.
It does.
You're literally sending one of your guys into the afterlife to retrieve one of your other guys. It's so cool.
And they come back together.
And then they both come back. None of this Orpheus and Eurydice crap. Yeah.
Only one's coming back.
No one looks back on this journey to the Underworld. Everybody comes back. So
yeah, it's cool. It's a cool idea. It's one of those, perfect cards where flavor meets game mechanics, and and it's not bad. It's not a bad card.
It's not bad. It's like this is one of the ones where like I have this wonderful fantasy of having 2 of those gray merchants, one in the graveyard and one out, and then sending my gray merchant to go get the other one, and they both come into play and drain you for my devotion, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, there you go.
But stuff like that. I mean, the art is really awesome. It's got this sort of River Styx thing going on there. It's just sort of the complete package. A little expensive, but still just I love it.
A little expensive, but awesome card in the set. Now we're getting down to the last few.
I think so.
Tormented Hero, I think is the next one.
Yeah. Once again, can't understate the importance of 2 power for 1 mana. I mean, especially black rarely gets that without some sort of nasty drawback. So it's
and the nasty drawback with this card is it comes into play tapped.
Yeah. But I want to be playing them on turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, ideally turn 1, but it's just like that's.
And I mean, he kind of like does
not that much of a drawback.
Yeah,
right?
and I mean, then he has like this sort of mini extort thing he does with heroic. The man wants an ordeal. That's what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like all the 2/1 for 1 drops are just.
Yeah.
I mean, the ordeals are sort of made for them.
Yeah, you just want to turn 1 that guy, turn 2 ordeal, swing. You're ahead. You're ahead of the
3,
curve on
swing
your
for
opponent.
4, swing for 5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, heroic
great.
is just kind of icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. Last 2 here. We're going to talk about a Viper's Kiss. Now, this is you wanted to talk about this card.
I think it's a great limited card, and it has a little potential for shutting down specific strategies in Constructed. But I just think it's limited is where you're going to see a lot of the expensive stuff. You're going to see a lot more monstrous creatures starting to happen, and actually being a threat for going monstrous, that kind of stuff. And Viper's Kiss for 1 black mana just shuts that all down. It makes them a little weaker and makes it so that they can't use their monstrous ability. It shuts down other creatures that could be problems. It's removal if something has 1 toughness. I just think it's a pretty solid black limited card.
Well, I mean, I can't really disagree with that. For 1 black mana at common, I mean, how much do you want a card to do? That's pretty all right. I mean, it's not very. It's not going to work well on heroic cards. So, I mean, that's sort of the one drawback on something like that, where it's, you're targeting them. It's only a -1/-1. Unless they have a really nasty activated ability, it's sort of. It depends on what you're running against. I guess I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, yeah, but
in this one instance, it's not very good.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't turn off heroic. That's true, but
you just might see a lot of that.
Yeah, I feel like it's in Constructed.
And
I would not play this in Constructed, no doubt. But
in Limited, you'll probably run into a lot of heroic.
Yeah, that's true. You'll also probably run into more monstrous than you'll see anywhere else. And
good against monstrous.
That's a really nice off switch for a monstrous creature. So
sure enough. So we're down to the last card here. Is the Whip.
I think this is probably tied for the white weapon as my favorite weapon.
Yeah,
if
I
not
can see that.
just being my favorite weapon. It's really cool. It does. It
Four,
doesn't.
4 mana for all creatures with lifelink by itself.
Yeah.
It's not shabby.
And then
I
it's
mean,
little.
I'll take it.
And then it's Reanimator on a stick, kind of.
Yeah.
So I just think it does something much more dynamic and interesting than a lot of the other weapons do. These enchantment artifacts, like, just looking at how much text is on the thing, you can tell that it does something a little more complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of think it plays along with sort of the themes that, again, we've talked about with black, and maybe the other themes just sort of went over our head with the other colors. But I just feel this thread that runs all the way through black, and it almost sort of builds itself. I mean, apparently the crux is that bestow discard creature card. Which was okay, but not that good. But now, as we go through here, I'm like, oh man, like this sort of fuels everything.
Maybe you want to be discarding more stuff.
Right. I still don't feel it's that good, but here you go. I mean,
you're right. There's a deck here, though. It might not be the greatest deck, but there's something here.
You could
that
almost
can be
put it together in a limited format.
Exactly.
A thematic limited deck.
Totally.
Or maybe in like a sealed where you get a little more.
You get the right pulls. You could make that happen in a draft or a sealed.
Yeah,
probably. Very cool. Yeah.
You have anything else you want to say about black?
I think that's about all I have to say on that one.
Good. Well, we've reached the end of the black highlights from Theros. I'm Russ.
I'm Kevin.
And this is D6 Mafia. Thanks for watching.